What is up, Mets fans? Let's go. Huge win in game one over the Milwaukee Brewers. Massive victory. Come from behind. Luis Severino, Jesse Winker. Everybody did a little bit of something. JD Martinez got a hit. Everybody was doing everything in today's game. Absolutely loved it. Incredible scenes. We're going to talk about everything as we are for every game in this wild card series. So make sure you guys are following us on our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Man, my voice is shot. Oh my God. It's really just hit me that my voice is shot. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. We're almost at 5,500 subscribers. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. And if you are listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. I think we had the most downloads we've ever had for an episode on the last one. So keep up the good vibes. We appreciate it. And I'll tell you who else appreciates it. The New York Mets. The New York Mets. We walked back into Milwaukee. We fucked them up. We fucked them up. That's really the only way I can explain it.
You said comeback. 2 comebacks. We came back twice in this game individually. True. Terrible first inning. Stormed back in second inning. Lost a little bit in the fourth inning. And just fucking massacred them right through the fifth inning. Had one of the best innings the entire year. I guess this besides the eighth inning, literally yesterday in the game against the Braves. But it's just this fucking team, dude. The resilience, all hands on deck, everybody's helping. There was a great tweet from Mike Mayer that I'm going to pull up right now that really puts into context where this team has gone and how incredibly impressive it is of where they're getting these contributions from right now. So Mets hitters had 8 RBIs in their game 1 win. And those 8 RBIs came from Iglesias, Vientos, Jesse Winker, JD Martinez, Starling Marte. Of those 8 RBIs, 7 of them were players who were not in the opening day roster.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Starling Marte is the only one.
Yep.
Weirdly, the only one. Hit the home run off of Freddie Peralta on opening day, which was, I believe, the only RBI on the day. So,
and the only hit.
Yeah. Full circle moment right there to rough up the Brewers. I know it wasn't Freddie Peralta because thank God for Pat Murphy pulling Freddie Peralta.
Manager of the year.
Manager of the year. Give him the award. Give him the award. He's the manager of the year. I didn't think the Brewers were going to make the postseason. They did. They won the division easily. Pat Murphy's the manager of the year.
The best.
Made a decision to pull Freddie Peralta after 4 innings.
Incredible.
And it was the biggest mistake of the entire game.
Decision of the year.
Decision of the year.
So
definitely,
far.
At least for the Mets, I think you could say that.
It was we were talking about it a lot. We'll go through the game chronologically, of course, but just spitting out the vibes immediately we can. We were really pumped up watching this game that the Mets had pushed Freddie Peralta to about 50 pitches after that very long second inning where Jesse Winker got the big triple. We had some long at-bats, and then Mo had 11 pitch at-bat in the first, and it was like, okay, nice. Like, Peralta looked really dominant, but we're pushing him, and we don't think he's going to be able to give a ton of length. And then that third and fourth inning, he got through them in, I think, 20 or 19 pitches total. We were like, shit. Peralta really evened out. I was literally texting my dad word for word, like, we let Peralta off the hook. Like, I can't believe this.
How many pitches did he throw today? Do you know?
68.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's like almost malpractice to pull him at that point.
When that fifth inning started and we were all sitting there watching because the Mets had just fallen behind and we saw that he was not in the game, me, you, all of our friends, the entire bar kind of stood up and exalted. We were like, oh, let's play some ball now. And Joel Payam's a really good reliever, and he smacked us opening day when we played him. That was like, 5 months ago now? It's a whole different team.
March.
Whole different vibe. Whole different everything. But it was just that opened the floodgates, similar to the Braves and Spencer Schwellenbach on Monday, where it's like, okay, take the guy out. Yeah, take him out. Let's get the reliever in there. And then we just kind of made mincemeat of Joel Payamps and Aaron Ashby. Just that's it. We were their daddies for a whole inning, and we took over this game, and we never looked back after taking it over.
Yeah, Pat Murphy did his best Don Mattingly impression. If you guys remember those series where Don Mattingly would pull, I don't know, Zach Greinke to bring in Pedro Baez or pull Clayton Kershaw to bring in Caleb Ferguson or Scott Alexander, whatever lefty was pitching at the time. And you're like, that doesn't even really make any sense. You're not even changing the arm side that's being had. Just bringing in Joel Payamps was a crazy decision. Thank God Pat Murphy did again. Manager of the year, Pat Murphy, no doubt. I mean, where this team's gone, manager of the year.
So, got the clip from Pat Murphy in the media availability after the game. My voice kind of gone too.
Not having it.
So one of the reporters was like, so you took out Freddie Peralta only 68 pitches after retiring 9 consecutive batters. Like, what was your reason for that? And then Murphy goes, I don't think he retired 9 in a row. And then he checked his scorecard. He was like,
counted.
Yeah, well, one of them was a hard contact sac fly center, which I think was the Marte one to end. That was the first out he got in that second inning. But perfect. It couldn't have drawn it up any better way. And also, again, just so amazing that up and down this lineup, we got crazy contributions. The big hit from Iglesias and busting his ass down to first base.
So huge.
Nimmo, Vientos, Pete drew some awesome walks. He didn't get any hits, but he drew incredible walks.
Great walks.
That triple from Jesse Winker was amazing, and the ensuing drama between him and Willy Adames, because Jesse Winker played for this Brewers team for a short time a few years ago, and it seems like they don't like each other at all, even a little bit. And he basically I think he called Willy Adames a little bitch, and Willy Adames, I'll meet you in the parking lot. I like that this is a series that there's no real reason these teams don't like each other, but it seems like these teams really don't fucking like each other.
Don't forget, Abner Uribe, opening series, when he got the save, looked at the fucking Mets dugout and shot them with a fake gun. Like, that was crazy. That was insane when that happened. Being like, oh my God, wait, what? Like, and I know there was the Rhys Hoskins slide, and there was a lot of bad blood from day one. And David Stearns, of course, but I mean, David Stearns is the real winner here. There's two organizations he's building up. He's like, I can't lose.
It's like I built two amazing teams here. The Brewers made 6 out of 7 postseasons. This Mets team just went balls to the wall. It gets to their one. But again, just up and down this fucking lineup. Like everybody, every single person contributed in a real way. Ryne Stanek closed this game out, guys.
Yes,
like, can you imagine where we are
for
right
the
now?
Mets'd podcast?
This is our life. Like, we're smiling through it all. Like, God, it was weird. Like, it was stressful early, and it became so chill late. It was amazing. Like, this was going to be the chaos game today, because every other game that happened on the first day of the wild card round, basically they were all kind of decided early. There was 2 of the games were shutouts. The Astros scored 1 run late, but that was almost basically a shutout win in itself. So this was the game where everyone was looking to be like, okay, this is going to be the back and forth game. This is going to be the game with the competitive teams. Like, this is going to be the competitive series. And it did feel like that. The Brewers got their little seeing eye singles in the first inning. Mets bounced back. Brewers did it again. Mets bounced back, and then done. Over. Locked in.
Yeah, and shout out to Murphy's Bar in Astoria. Again, we were there for the second straight day. We will be there again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy's Bar, great vibes. All Mets fans. They play the sound. They got lots of TVs. They got great deals. Shout out Rory, the owner. Great bar. It's our new home for watching Mets games. No doubt. That's the place to go. So if you want to see us, we'll be there tomorrow. Shout out to Bryant. Shout out to Drew. Shout out to everybody we met at Murphy's Bar. Amazing vibes as always.
Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Kev Charles. Shout out to tons of other people who just came up to us. Like, hey, guys, love the podcast. Like, really happy to see you. Like, a couple people told us they came there for us, which I was like, that's kind of hilarious. Like, that's nice. And it's good because that bar, we were talking about this and really, like, excited about it. It's like, it's hard to find a pure Mets bar in New York City. It is. Super just because it's there's a lot of places that it's just a lot of Yankee fans in the city. There's a lot of just people in the city. So the fact that it was a locked in, every single person there, Mets fan, totally into baseball, screaming, let's go Mets chants, people standing on their chairs every time we score the run. Just, it was a real togetherness community experience of people watching the Mets and just screaming their heads off and having a great time.
Yeah, no, the vibes were incredible, but I think you're right. The first 4 innings were stressful. Like, even when we had that little comeback against Freddie Peralta with that Winker triple, things were stressful. And then all of a sudden they weren't, because the Mets took care of business. They capitalized on all the mistakes the Brewer made, which were not many. One of the big ones being Yoel Payams taking a page out of Edwin Diaz's book and forgetting to cover first base on a ground ball from Jose Iglesias, which Rhys Hoskins just closed his eyes and said, oh shit, look what happened to find in my glove. Again, I will do absolutely no shit talking until this series is over. I will not say a word about anything. We're going to simply report on exactly what happened. But that was a huge moment. Iglesias diving headfirst, beating Yoel Payams to the base. Aaron Ashby coming in, smoking him. And then that was just pretty much it for the game, like, in terms of the excitement levels, in terms of, like, the actual action that happened. Because José Buttó came in after Severino. We'll talk about Severino's start here a little more in depth in a second. But Buttó was phenomenal. 2 innings, no hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, straight to business. He came in, pounded the zone. He threw 25 pitches in those 2 innings, 15 of which were strikes. He was phenomenal. He was great. He looked sharp. And then, like you said, Ryne Stanek, legacy inning for the Mets'd podcast. Go back to fucking January, and we were talking about how Ryne Stanek needs to be on this New York Mets team. Little did we know he was going to close out a game in the wild card series, our first playoff game of the year, because he's fucking Ryne Stanek. And you even were doing a little research before the show, and you're like, people forget Ryne Stanek threw 20 innings for the Astros the last couple years in the playoffs.
He's appeared in 5 different playoffs now after this appearance tonight for the Mets. And he was a stalwart. For a long time, he was the setup man to Ryan Pressly in those big Astros playoff series.
And I think I remember when we had Lyle and his co-host on our podcast to visit, to talk about the Mariners series. One of the things they talked about was that I think Stanek had a hard time in low leverage situations. He was a guy who thrived in being in these big moments. He's a guy who had been the setup man at times in Houston. He's been the guy who'd get the big 7th inning outs before you get to Ryan Pressly or whoever was coming in for the game. So for Stanek, as maybe shaky as he's been this year, I think the last few outings have been a hell of a lot better than they were when he first got here. And that's a lot, too, to the Mets pitching development and the fact that they talked about that they saw stuff that Stanek could improve upon and they thought he could improve upon instantly. This is where he thrives. Put him in a scenario where the game matters, and he shut the door nice and easy.
I mean, there's also the thing about pitching and relief pitching, which we say to you guys, me, like all the time. It goes in and out so quickly. Like your most trusted reliever in 4 days can be one of your least trusted relievers. Your least trusted reliever, as long as they have the stuff, which again, that's the whole thing goes back to. Stanek having the stuff is good enough to get back and get in a high leverage spot.
Adam Ottavino was lights out in 2022. Literally untouchable for that entire season. He was the perfect setup man to Edwin Diaz. The next season, you're like, don't want him pitching. Don't want him on the mound.
We're in the spot right now where the way this Mets bullpen's been, especially when we read Garrett's been lately, it's about talking about the guy who's in and out of the trust tree. Like, there's a world of Ryne Stanek, second or third most trusted reliever in this bullpen. And that's just granting Edwin Diaz the most trusted reliever, which I don't think most people say is most trusted reliever in this bullpen. But we even saw the Brewers do weird shit where after the bullpen got kind of out of hand, and then they pulled Freddie Peralta way too early. Then Payams couldn't get out. And Aaron Ashby literally got nobody out. And then Nick Mears settled down for an inning in the third. They were on Aaron Savali to finish the game. There were people who thought Aaron Savali was going to be the lockstep game 2 starter on Wednesday. And now he's gone for the series probably.
I couldn't believe he came into this game. So the thought process of Pat Murphy saying, Peralta's done. We're pulling him for whatever reasons they felt were necessary. We're pulling him. How do you not then go to Savali if you're going to use him for multiple innings in a game you're down 4? Why would you not use him for multiple innings in a game where you're leading? That doesn't make any sense to me.
My thinking is that there was something wrong with Peralta, and that's why I had to take him out. And they had to take him out on slightly short notice. And when you're taking a pitcher on slightly short notice, you're probably going to want to just bring in one of your firemen, standard reliever, 1 inning types, because it takes them less time to get loose. For a guy like Savali, apart from being a tad porky at this point in his career, that happened quickly. It'll just take a starting pitcher a little more time to loosen up and warm and get ready. So usually these playoff series, you bring in a starter, you have to give them a little more notice to throw and stretch and do their routine because they usually have more time to come into a game than your average reliever. But there's been no indication after the game that Freddie Peralta came out because anything was wrong, just because the Brewers, for some reason, felt like it was the time. And now just like kind of talk about this game a little more wide lens. Like when that game started, what?
We have an ad first.
Okay, good call.
We have an ad first. Shout out to Huel. Appreciate it. Sponsor of today's episode of the Mets'd podcast. Huel, no time for breakfast, but you're starving, running late. We've all been there. Am I right, James? But what if a delicious, nutritious meal could be ready in seconds? Support for Mets'd and Foul Territory is brought to you by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand with over 400 million meals sold worldwide. Yes, you heard that right. 400 million. Huel is trusted by millions of people looking to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. Try for yourself with our exclusive offer for you, 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. We love saving time, and with no prep, no cooking, say goodbye to getting hangry and unsatisfying snacks. Just grab a Huel instead. I've been really enjoying the Black Edition ready to drink from Huel. Not only does it taste fantastic, but it also has a whopping 35 grams of protein plus 27 vitamins and minerals all in one bottle. I could use it. I'm a YouTuber. Take the leap and join the community of Hueligans with this exclusive offer of 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. That's 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel, nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. Fuel your best with Huel today. James, take the people in. We show up to this game feeling pretty good. I told you I felt like a kid on Christmas morning. We see Severino scuffle early, quite literally the earliest he possibly could have.
Before that, we had a very lackadaisical top of the first inning where Lindor and Iglesias both struck out looking on painted, beautiful 97-mile-an-hour fastballs. Freddie Peralta, like, oh,
he looked
shit.
Dialed in.
He did. Like this is the frontline pitcher. This is one thing that the Brewers have, the Mets don't have. I think the Mets 1 through 9 are better lineups than the Brewers.
I agree.
Like the Brewers definitely have a better bullpen than the Mets. I think the Diaz-Williams kind of evens out a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, this Mets rotation is solid. It's good. But I think Freddie Peralta is better than any pitcher the Mets have. I think I can say it honestly. I think that's true. And then seeing him come out in that first inning, striking out Lindor in that painted fastball in the black, and then 3 pitches like BBs to Jose Iglesias and freezing him with 97 in the black. I was like, shit, we're in for a long day. Then what bat changed tone, and then you get to the bottom of the first inning, and Bryce Ted Williams Terang just fucking floats a double, and then Jackson Churio hits a single, and Wilson Contreras hits a single, all 3 balls on the ground. That whole thing happened in 8 pitches, and the Brewers already had a run home, and it's just like, oh no. this might get out of hand. This is terrifying. And then you kind of saw this thing that I've been telling you guys about recently with Severino, where there's no bag against lefties. And when I say no bag against lefties, what I mean is that he doesn't really have a lot of weapons to use against them. I tweeted after the first inning, and it was the pitch chart of Severino against lefties in that first inning. And the lefties he faced that first inning were Terang, Garrett Mitchell, Jake Bauers, and then Sal Frelick. And weirdly, he got 2 of those lefties out for the 3 outs that he got. All three lefties with 3 outs that he got.
Kind of killing your point here a little bit.
No, but it wasn't clean at bats, so you didn't really feel comfortable watching those at bats. And you could see that Severino was laboring through them because the only thing he really had against them was fastballs. And he kept trying to throw sweeper against them. We've talked about you guys in the past because the sweeper is such a sweeping pitch that moves across the strike zone. When a righty throws to the lefty, you can see, I think, the whole way. You can lick your chops and hit it. And I think that he was playing with a lot of fire for a lot of them. And I looked back because I was like, why isn't he throwing the changeup anymore? Why isn't he throwing the changeup anymore? And a few weeks ago, September 14th, he gave the big home run to Bryce Harper on the changeup. That totally shifted the vibe in that Phillies game in Citizens Bank Park. You know how many changeups he's thrown since that home run by Bryce Harper?
4?
1.
It's way less.
One changeup. And he threw 1 in this game. And that is a signal to me that he just doesn't feel, he's not comfortable with that pitch. And the one he threw in the game today, it was 2 feet outside the strike zone. So it was clear that just wasn't an option. He mixed in a few colors, but not many, a couple tight gyro sliders, but the whole game was fastball, sweeper, sinker. And even the sweeper wasn't that sharp. In this entire game, Severino only got 8 swings and misses. And you only got 4 of those through the first 4 innings. And then the 4 of them came in the last 2 innings after the Mets had the lead and he got to settle in a little bit. But it was nerve-wracking watching him go through his lineup the first few times. Overall, he did pitch well. In fact, he did wind up going the 6 innings. They only gave up the 3 earned runs because there was that weird bobble play by Tyrone Taylor in center field. Like, I can say objectively pitched well, but it wasn't a comfortable 6 innings, especially wasn't comfortable first 4 innings. The Brewers already had 4 runs home, and you were kind of staring at someone who didn't really have a great secondary option against any hitter in this lineup.
No, the one amazing thing that Severino did, besides pitch 6 innings and go as well as he did, after we scored the 5 runs in the 5th inning, shut him down. And that was you could notice that was a shit. Like, for the Brewers, like, their at-bats got significantly worse. They lost their patience because this team is incredibly patient at the plate. They were swinging out a lot of pitches. They were inside-outing things, hitting a lot of lazy fly balls. When earlier in the game, they were hitting hard ground balls. The entire mood of that game changed when Severino shut them down, along with when Jesse Winker called Willy Adames a little bitch and screamed at the Mets bench, let's beat these motherfuckers. Let's get these motherfuckers. And that was awesome. I love Jesse Winker. He's the epitome of everything that I have felt this Mets team has been lacking the last couple years, which is a fucking dog, a bit of an asshole, a douchebag, whatever kind of word you want to use it, but it's all in the best way possible. And that's why when he did the wave goodbye to Mets fans when he was with the Reds and when he's tormented us in the years in the past, myself, and I think you included, were like, I can't wait for that guy to get on this team because this is what they needed. And in this game, I think that also completely changed the vibe too.
He's got a little shit to him. That's it, bottom line. You want guys in your baseball team a little shit to them. And also that Severino shutdown inning, 2 pop-ups to second base and 1 strikeout swing.
They didn't give a fuck. They were mentally checked out.
They were, because we kind of handled it. But I think you're right. This started with Winker because that Winker hit changed the vibe because Vientos got the single and then Alonso walked. A really good at bat by Alonso. Again, Alonso's not hitting. Pete's really drawing some good walks right now. And I give him credit for that, for sticking these at-bats and doing anything he can, even though he's not able to get the big hit. But all you got to do is just hang around until you get the big hit. I said it to you guys a week ago about JD and Winker specifically. Just because you're 0 for your last 10 or whatever the fuck they were, JD 0 for his last 36, doesn't mean you're going to be 0 for your next 1. That's it. You keep getting the at-bat because the at-bats are still good and you keep doing it. And again, so much credit for Carlos Mendoza for trusting these guys and trusting the process. To give an old-time word for the Mets'd podcast, because it's process. There was no reason that Jesse Winker shouldn't have been in this lineup today. Some people were a little upset when the lineup dropped that he was in it. But when I saw his 9, I was like, I think this is the best 9 against a talented righty like Freddie Peralta. And you have a guy like Winker he's a good lefty bat who takes a lot of pitches. He has a really good understanding of the strike zone. Horrible month. Horrible, miserable, terrible month. JD and Winker combined, I think Tim Britton tweeted, they were like 9 for 8 in the entire month of September. Really, really fucking bad. But they were in the middle of both big rallies today, and that Winker triple was massive. That changed everything. And it's weird because when you play these playoff games, they have a very different vibe, very different tenor, very different feel in regular season games. The fact that you have these massive moments happening in the second inning. The top of the second inning with 2 on and no outs, we're like, wow, this was a monumental moment in this game. But it was, and you felt it, and it shifted everything. And these Brewers fans shut the hell up this whole game after that, besides for the little rally in the 4th. But you kind of got to them, and then you kind of attacked on from there. And again, the fourth inning wasn't that good either. We had some not so good defense. Defense wasn't that great in this game. If there was something the Mets can fix going into the next game, it was defense. A lot of seeing eye singles, stupid dinky ground balls by the Brewers. Again, Tyron Taylor bobbled that ball in center field. Vientos had a misplay at third. But you just kept rounding it out. And it was really big in that fourth inning from Severino, because it was second and third, 1 out. To get out of that, only give up the 1 run.
What did we say, James?
Said in that second, I said, right now, Mark, if you can make a handshake deal with the devil, and you say with 1 out, second and third, the inning's over, 1 more run scores, you go back to the dugout and you start to hit. And you said deal. I said I completely agree with you. And that was what happened, because that should have been first and second 1 out, but Tyron Taylor bobbled that ball. But Tyron Taylor's been so good, and the baseball gods are so in his corner right now that everything still wound up working out. Contreras had the ground ball, Gary Mitchell at the line drive, and then we just got to go from there, and we just smacked him.
It was incredible. It was such a great game to watch. Ups and downs, as every single game it feels like the Mets have had since June 1st. A lot of ups and downs. But at the end of the day, to come out on top, to come back twice like they did, I don't really know what Mets fans who aren't in yet could need more of.
How can you not be in? It's the playoffs. Like, if you're not in, I don't think you're actually a Mets fan or a baseball fan.
You're not listening to our podcast, at least. Because
No,
we were meeting the people today, and everybody was like,
in.
We're fucking in. We're ready to roll.
Amped. People were amped at Murphy's in the story. And also, give some credit to us. After the top of the first inning, Mark and I were sitting with a total of 5 friends around our table. And we were both like, hey, everybody stand up. Everybody get a new chair. And after the bottom of that first inning, every single person got a new chair. And we didn't move those chairs the rest of the game. And that's how it went from there.
They scored 3 runs instantly. Literally instantly.
And then also, I think there was a moment that felt like a bit of a chink in the armor for the Brewers early, where it felt like they were more focused on the Mets than the game itself, where it was in that first inning when things were kind of spiraling out of control for Severino. I think I asked you, how long do you give him here? And he hit Rhys Hoskins the first pitch with the bases loaded.
I'm glad you picked this up.
And Hoskins was jacked up. He got hit by a pitch with the base load. I was like, this guy murders the Mets. He gets out of the bed simply only to play against and kill the Mets. And he was excited to get hit by a pitch and let him go from base to base.
A little bit.
And he did. He said, let's fucking go, to his own dugout. And he bat flipped and he stared at Severino and he walked to first base with his little douchebag saunter. And I was like, oh, great. Rhys Hoskins isn't up anymore. Let's get the next guy out. Sal Frelick, let's get to the next inning. And now we're okay. It's only 2-0. I think that was a cool moment where I was like, oh, these guys think we're still playing in April. Like, these guys think we're still playing last weekend. These guys don't realize that what's going on with this Mets team and where we are right now, what we're ready for.
Yeah, historically speaking, how have the Brewers done in the last few postseasons, historically speaking?
Historically speaking, this Brewers team has some slight issues, sometimes advancing, sometimes in the playoffs. And historically speaking, sometimes the teams that beat the Brewers have a better time advancing far in the playoffs. It's a weird... historically speaking, in the last couple of postseasons, about 5 to be exact, it's kind of a rite of passage for whoever historically wins the National League pennant to beat the Brewers first.
That's an interesting historical fact you just gave us.
Yeah. I don't want to let this whole podcast go by and not take away from how much ESPN tries to kill the average baseball game.
Murders it.
I can't believe how bad of a job the worldwide leader in sports does in broadcasting a playoff game, because we didn't get to hear that much. We were in a bar and it was loud, but like Boog's a pretty good announcer. Doug Lanville's totally fine. The fact that Christian Yelich basically did an entire podcast taking up a third of the ESPN screen in a 1-run playoff game with the Mets on the mound, I couldn't believe what I was watching and how long he was able to talk and give his spiel.
Yeah, I've been around Christian Yelich at spring training. I can tell you he didn't love that either. He is not a huge talker to the media. I asked him if I could ask him a couple questions. He said, sorry, man, talk to the media all right today. I'm good. I'm like, wow, you think I'm the media? That's so funny. But like, we were talking about how there should almost be 2 broadcasts, where it should be like the broadcast for people who like baseball and the broadcast for people who don't like baseball, because there's no reason for that to be happening in the postseason whatsoever. Why are you talking to the player during the game? Dude, even like the interview with like Mendoza or Pat Murphy during the game, like in between innings,
cringe.
That makes me cringe. Let these guys do their fucking job. Let them focus. This is my old man take. I'm back, whatever it is. I think it adds absolutely nothing to the broadcast. I think it adds nothing to the game. And again, it is a classic mistake that Major League Baseball makes, where the greatest thing about baseball is the fucking baseball. This game is so fascinating. It's unlike any other sport. The strategy is kind of fucking bullshit at the end of the day. Like, it's really a 1v1 game every single time someone steps to the plate. And it's about being better than the guy that's in front of you. And yet they think that we want to hear from these players during the game, and we want to be told about these fucking like all the nonsense that goes on. They couldn't get the stats right. They couldn't get the exit velos right. They couldn't get the pitches right. Those are the things that are super cool in baseball, and that's why I was really frustrating. Again, thank God at Murphy's Bar, we're watching, having a good time. Everybody's screaming and yelling.
All Mets fans.
So we didn't really have to focus too much on what was going on. But yeah, when things are going negative, I'm going to find them more. And the Christian Yelich inning in the fourth was intolerable.
It was great. It was literally, he did a full podcast. He was on the entire inning. It was about 20, because it was a long inning. It was like a 25-minute inning, and he's talking the whole time. And it is frustrating that these things that we're blessed to watch SNY every single night.
So blessed.
Even Fox does this stuff well, but like they were mismarking Freddie Peralta fastballs as changeups as fastballs. They in the Astros game earlier in the day, they said he had 8 home runs.
Jordan,
Jordan Alvarez has 79 OPS plus and 8 home runs. Like these are such simple things, and like this is a big event for ESPN. Like they have pride that they broadcast all these games. It's ESPN's Wild Card Weekend, and for them to make this many very simple mistakes, I will say, I thought Todd Frazier was good in the call. Had never heard him do a game. I thought he did well.
Well, he didn't do the Mets one. He did the Detroit Tigers.
He did Detroit Tigers. Tigers Astros.
Michael K is a real snooze fest.
Michael K wanted to put me asleep in the afternoon. I did a good tweet about that. A lot of people like that. And again, like we weren't that locked into this stuff, but it's just frustrating that like the baseball should be shining right now. The best part about the playoffs in any sport is the best teams are playing each other. These Mets and Brewers teams, these are well created baseball teams. These are teams that play good defense, teams that take good at bats, these teams with good pitchers coming over and over again. Well constructed baseball teams. And there's so much random intrigue you can talk about this game too. Like you could do so much stuff about like the David Stearns ties to all these players and where they all came from, and similarities between player archetypes that each of these teams have been acquiring for the last few years. And now they're pitted on the field against each other, where the GM's former team and his current team are taking each other on. There's all these comparisons between Lindor and Adames you could do. And like there's so much stuff. Jackson Churio, and you have I guess Jackson Churio, Vientos. I guess that's the closest thing you could do for the young player in each team. It's close enough.
Alvarez, Acuna are a little bit younger.
Yeah. But there's so many through lines of things you could talk about, and they're talking about nonsense, and they're interviewing players like his podcast. Also, I had the idea because that's what the NFL draft does, where they have like the football draft and they have like the family draft. I'm like, that'd be great for all of these broadcasts because I don't want to hear about any of this stuff. And again, you're probably right. Christian Yelich probably won't do it either, but I think of that sometimes in the regular season, but this is the playoffs. Like
it should be baseball.
Fucking playoffs. This is it. And oh god, anything else? Anything else to wrap up this game?
How about how we got one back when Marte hit that ball off the end of his bat? Jackson Churio made a great play in left field.
That started the whole thing.
Who hit it after him? Tyrone Taylor. Yeah, Tyrone Taylor hit it to him, and then he misplayed it.
Tell him come home.
The thing I will say, and I will caution Mets fans, is as good as this game was, the Brewers had opportunities and did not capitalize. The Mets were able to shut them down multiple times, stop these massive, massive innings from happening. The Brewers had more hits in this game than the Mets. They had 8 hits. The Mets had 7. The Mets made an error in this game. The Mets did not necessarily play the cleanest of baseball, but something that a lot of Mets fans love to say, even though we know it's patently untrue, the Mets never step up. Nobody steps up. Nobody ever comes up in the big scenario. Everybody stepped up in every opportunity that they were given today. And that, to me, is the thing that makes me so excited about tomorrow, is that this team showed up ready. They had no excuses. The first inning wasn't great. Bang. Second inning, we came right back, drew it back. Fourth inning, the Brewers took the lead. Bang. 5 runs in the next inning. They answered the call literally as soon as they physically could, and then they shut the Brewers down for the rest of the game. It was phenomenal to watch. Carlos Mendoza did a great job. Jeremy Hefner did a great job. The pitchers did a great job. All around, really, really good win in a game that I don't even necessarily think the Mets played their best.
No, 8 of the 9 players reached base. 7 of the 9 starters had a hard hit ball. A lot of credit to José Buttó too. I got to talk about him for a little bit. You guys know that. He was throwing so fucking hard in this game.
Oh yeah.
I think that, and we've been talking about this, we've mentioned a little bit in the podcast, but the Mets leaned on Buttó so hard first in April to be like one of their 5 starters, and he had to get sent down when he got cold. And then in July when he came up and he became the most trusted reliever in this bullpen. He became the fireman. He was coming in 2-3 nights a week and getting big outs as much as he possibly could. And then we haven't seen him for a month, basically. He's kind of been waiting in the wings. He came on this game throwing fucking 97 miles an hour. Every single one of his pitches was up 2-3-6 across the board. He was getting swings and misses with the fastball. He was dropping changeups. He was dropping sliders. Like, he was showing everything. I think that is something that can give us a lot of solace going forward, that this version of José Buttó is someone who can get big outs in big spots.
Major.
And it was cool. And the fact that he can come into this game after Severino gave 6, after everything that happened on Monday, Friday through Sunday even too. And we just got to get through this game with Severino, Buttó, Stanek. we're good. We're ready to go tomorrow.
Yes.
And I don't want to undersell what the rest of this Brewers series is going to be. This team is not going to roll over and die.
No.
There's a good baseball team. There's a really good manager and a lot of really good players, a lot of good pitchers, good defense, pesky sons of bitches like Bryce Terang, a nonstop up and down this lineup. It's still going to be a dogfight to win this game. I still think Mets in 3, but it was really comforting to be able to watch this game and be able to step on the field and be like, okay, I know how the regular season series went against this team, but right now, Tuesday, October 1st, 11:20 p.m., I confidently think that we are a better baseball team than them.
I think that's a completely fair assessment. I totally think so. I think the Mets showed that in this game. I think they all stepped up. It was a very, very nice win, and I'm really looking forward to game 2 tomorrow or today when you guys are listening to this. Also, before we talk about the pitching matchup tomorrow and just a preview, shout out Alex Tosi behind the plate. That's a name I was not familiar with as an umpire.
Good game.
I've never heard of this guy. Locked in. He was locked in. I feel like he might have done one of the better jobs an umpire's done all year. A couple calls here and there, you're always going to miss, but they were borderline calls. They were flip the coins. It wasn't the, oh my God, how is this ever called a strike? How is this ever called a ball type thing? He did a really good job. And I think that's super important in the playoffs too. These guys, more than ever, should not matter. And this game, you didn't notice the umpires one bit.
Nope, and that's the goal. You don't want to notice them. Also, I thought there was some fear, at least I had a tiny bit, I think some other Mets fans did too, that it was just going to be a lot going from the emotion Atlanta on Monday to the champagne celebration to the plane back to Milwaukee, because this team went Atlanta, Milwaukee on flights this week. These guys haven't seen their families in like 2 weeks now. But it was a really good question after the game. I don't know if it was Tacoma or Sam, and one of the beat reporters asked them if they thought they felt tired heading into this game. And JD Martinez said, just get to these games. The fans, the adrenaline, everything takes care of itself. It'll get you up. And then Vientos goes, I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard to be tired when you're playing playoff baseball.
Hell yeah.
That's really good fucking mindset. Love hearing that from our boys right there, because I think that's the truth. Like, I think a lot of messengers like, wow, how can they do all this back to back to back? Oh my God. But it's just this, if you're not up for this, what could ever get you up?
Like, think about, like, as a kid, you grow up, you want to be a Major League Baseball player. This is the dream. Oh my God.
This is it.
We're playing in the playoffs. You can't be tired. There's no such thing as tired. There's no tomorrow. That's like the whole thing. You play to win the game. Mets came out excited. Mets came out pumped, and they won the game. We are one win away from moving on to the NLDS and facing the Philadelphia Phillies. Pitching matchups for tomorrow. What do you got for us, James?
Sean Manaea versus Frankie Montas.
Big James Shiano guy right there, Frankie Montas.
This is a huge James Shiano matchup right here. These are two of my guys. Weirdly, one of them is a bigger guy. I dreamed of Frankie Montas being on this team at the beginning of the season, and now I want to end his season instantly. I want him to catapult us to the next round. But you guys saw Montas last Friday. I think he held a little bit back in that game against the Mets. I think rightfully so, because I think everyone knew there was a really good chance he was going to face the Mets again. And we got to him kind of, a little bit, like I'd say, right? Like reasonably so. We got to Frankie Montas relative to what else we thought we could have done that game.
Like, I think
Sean Manaea got crushed already.
I think the production necessarily wasn't there, but I thought the quality of at-bats and the opportunities were there. They just didn't capitalize.
We had a lot of hard hit balls. We had a lot of swings and misses. I think that's the game with Montas. It always will be the game. Since he's been to the Brewers, as they do a lot of really good in-season adjustments. They make these trades for pitchers, probably better than anybody else. They've kind of pushed him to lean on his fastballs. I think one thing that is emblematic of David Stern's players it seems like he likes to bring into his pitching stats, both old and new, is variations of fastball. Something that's kind of become much more prevalent in baseball as this year's wore on, where we've seen Severino, one guy who has gone leaps and bounds past where he's been the last few years, because he's introduced new fastballs to repertoire. The ability to mix a four-seamer, a two-seamer, or a sinker, and then a cutter. The Brewers have pushed that hard with Montas, because Montas is always a four-seamer, some sinkers, splitter guy with a couple sliders. They're pushing him hardcore with the four-seamers, the sinkers, and the cutters. Those variations of fastballs will kind of screw guys up a little bit, because these little micro swings that you do, little adjustments you make. There was a time in this game one where Lindor he was facing I really forgot. It wasn't Peralta. I think it was Payamps in the middle of the inning, or someone. And you're probably expecting a four-seamer as a lefty facing a righty, and Payamps just threw him a sneaky little two-seamer. And the two-seamer just got under his bat, barely. And if it was a four-seamer, that ball was parked, and the two-seamer got him. So just being able to have that variation of three different fastballs, you're going to be able to mitigate some contact. Again, Montas doesn't have the best command, so hopefully you're able to get to him well. And we just saw him a few days ago. With that, the Brewers also just saw Sean Manaea, and they handled him really well. But they didn't handle him, I think, the same way that we got to Montas, where the Mets, they did hit Manaea hard because Manaea had to make a hard adjustment where he couldn't throw his two-seamer anymore. It's a lot of this game on Wednesday. He's going to be up midnight, waking up, throwing his bullpen, and being like, okay, I have the 2-seam, I'm ready to rock. So this all just comes down to the guy who's been our best pitcher all year being our best pitcher.
As I said, I've got all the confidence in the world in this team. I'm excited. It's Christmas morning again. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow, get ready to watch some baseball. The fucked up thing, they're making us wait another 2 hours. Like 5:30 today was great. It hit like crack. I've never done crack, but I'm sure it hit like that. 7:30, you're going to make me wait another 2 hours.
Good disclaimer. Yeah, don't do crack.
Don't do crack. Crack is bad. Crack is whack. That's what they used to say. Crack is whack. Stay in school. 7:30 sucks. I can't believe I got to wait an extra 2 hours. What am I going to do with that time?
I like to do something. Make a YouTube video. What do you do?
Yeah, it's true. What do I do? Talk about baseball. That's pretty much it.
That's what I'm saying. But this team is not going to roll over. This is a good team. Jackson Chourio is a phenom superstar. William Contreras is a really good ball player. Bryce Terang is Ted Williams against the Mets.
Yes.
Wholeheartedly. Reese Hoskins only gets out of the bet to try and beat this team. Willie Adames is a good baseball player who's locked in. We're going to see Gary Sanchez, old friend, the lineup tomorrow for sure.
Year.
Yeah. But Gary Sanchez is going to be lined up tomorrow because they're facing a lefty. I'm sure we're going to see a Blake Perkins appearance. They didn't touch Devin Williams, but they touched Payamps. They still have McGill and Devin Williams ready to kill us in the late innings if it happens. There's dogfight. This is the playoffs. This is it. You can't take anything for granted. We got to go into this team. We got to beat this team again.
Yeah, would love to end their season tomorrow. Would love nothing more.
And again, if we can end their season tomorrow, we can get this Mets pitching staff a couple very necessary days off that we need if we want to have. Again, it's far away. It's not even close to being real right now.
No.
If we want to have a chance to possibly move on past this, it'd be nice to get a day or two for these pitchers.
Totally. And hopefully we do. Hopefully we beat the Brewers tomorrow. Again, feeling really good. We will be at Murphy's Bar in Astoria if you want to come hang out. Again, if you're a Mets fan, it's a great vibe. Come hang out. I know Seven Line's doing stuff in the city for Manhattan. Go there as well. They were packed out at the Playwright. They were mobbed there. It looked like an insane scene. So if you're a Manhattanite there, if you're a Queens person, come hang out at Murphy's in Astoria. It was a great time. Anything else here, James, before we wrap it up?
I think that's it. Just foot on the gas. Like there's no let up here. Like put your foot down, kill them.
Yeah, kill the Brewers.
This is killer instinct time. Let's see if the Mets have it.
Let's see if they got it. Guys, thanks so much for listening and watching this episode of the Mets'd podcast. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Mets'd podcast so you can see the video version of this. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Overcast, drop us a rating, drop us a review, and most importantly, don't forget to download and subscribe. You can follow James on Twitter at
James_Ciano.
I'm Draftneck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Let's fucking go Mets. Let's end their Brewers season. Let's get to the NLDS. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Peace out.
Let's fucking go Mets. See you guys tomorrow.